Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Definition, and in this video we're breaking down The Boy 2. The first film had some very mixed reviews, but personally I enjoyed it and I found the twist to be a fun one that stuck with me long since seeing it. Clearly the movie had a following too, as the sequel was quickly pushed into production. Initially it was supposed to be released in July last year, however for whatever reason the studio decided to push it back. Was there a good reason for this, or does the studio have a hit on their hands? Well, throughout this video we're going to be breaking down the film and giving our thoughts on its plot and ending. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't had a chance to see the movie yet and don't want anything ruined, then I highly recommend that you turn off now. With that out of the way, I just want to give a huge thank you for checking out the video. Now let's get into our breakdown of The Boy 2. In contrast to the first film, The Boy 2 delves highly into the supernatural, and where the prior movie explained everything away with the story of a man who lived in the walls of a house, this dives deeply into the occult. The movie centers around Liza, played by Katie Holmes, her husband Sean, and their son Jude. Initially, Jude is at that point where he's too old to be sleeping with teddies, but after a traumatic home invasion that he witnesses, the boy becomes a mute. His main method of communication becomes a notepad, and Liza suffers from violent dreams due to a head injury that she gained during the attack. Jude has regressed into a shell, and with his mother's mental state collapsing, life becomes difficult. The home invasion is a really interesting way to start the movie, and not to give too much away, but it's probably the scariest thing in the film for me. I always find the idea of someone breaking into your house at night to be far more terrifying than ghosts and ghouls, and this is also clearly the case with Liza, who can't escape the horrible thing that happened to her. In order to get away and hopefully fix their problems, the family decides to move. This sends them to the guest house of the Heelshire property, which is set on the grounds of the same location as the first film. Whilst out in the woods, they come across the main manor, and Jude discovers the doll BRAHMS buried there. After digging it up, it becomes the main form of communication for the boy, and like the first film, BRAHMS begins to lay down the ground rules of things that its friends can and can't do. Slowly Jude becomes obsessed with it, dresses like the doll, and ends up referring to him as a person. I don't know where the kid got the suit, but I wish I had one like that growing up. He looks very dapper. BRAHMS becomes more and more aggressive, but Liza can't really tell whether it's Jude lashing out and using the doll as an excuse, or if the doll really has a sinister side to it. Due to her brain trauma, Liza sort of becomes an unreliable narrator, and because of a head injury, we can't tell what's real and what isn't. She apparently begins to hallucinate, and the doll becomes more and more of a fascination for her as we see it slowly take over the child. Liza looks up the history of BRAHMS and discovers the backstory from the first movie. From the house's groundkeeper Joseph, played by Chris Finch, bloody good rep, they learn that the BRAHMS from the first movie killed a little girl and that he lived in the walls of his house. As we know, the Heelshires went on to commit suicide, and BRAHMS then went on to haunt Greta and become attached to her. Now, where BRAHMS' arrival was a big reveal in the first film, we learn that the character died off screen and that it was actually the doll behind the entire thing and not the other way around. So yeah, if you were expecting a big return from BRAHMS, then you'll be disappointed to know that he's dead and doesn't come back for the movie. Liza discovers that Jude is planning to kill her and her husband, and Jude's cousin is severely injured after bullying him. Liza manages to trace BRAHMS back through all of his owners, and she uncovers a pattern of murders carried out by young boys that state the doll made them do it. Now, my biggest problem with this is that it negates the first film's ending. I know that a lot of audience members were disappointed in the first movie because it didn't actually have a supernatural element to it, but personally, I like the subversion that it put on a thing that we'd already seen 100 times before. I feel like this film will annoy people like myself who enjoyed the first movie's final half hour, and the retconning feels like they're trying to capture the audience that they should have with the first. However, in doing so, they stick to the cliches that the boy avoided, and it results in this being regulated to your standard affair that we've seen done to death. Joseph goes to the house one night after things have escalated and ties Liza up. He reveals that BRAHMS made him put him back together and leave him there for the family. He's been helping the doll and is regarded as crazy by the locals. Jude was an easy target because of the trauma that he faced, and he pays lip service to the sacrifice that BRAHMS will make him carry out to align his soul with him. Lisa manages to get away from Joseph and she goes to the main house and discovers Jude there wearing a BRAHMS mask and apparently about to carry out a ritual. Lisa lies and promises Jude that they will all go home and take BRAHMS with them as a member of their family, and Sean arrives and smashes the doll's head in, which reveals the true face beneath it. This is a demonic and sinister looking creature, and this is what has been controlling Jude and all of the boys before him. The doll kills Joseph by raising him in the air and throwing fire from the furnace towards him. Jude then picks up the doll in order to calm it down and says that it will all be alright. At the last second, Jude tosses the doll into the fire, burning it in the process. It seems like the curse is finally over and the family returns back to their home. I have no idea how they managed to move back in no problem, as none of them seem to work, but on the surface they go back to how things were before the attack that opened the film. However, we learn that the ritual was in fact successful and that BRAHMS' spirit has entered Jude. The ending of the film with the sacrifice was just a charade carried out by the doll in order to make it seem like Jude had managed to stop it. It killed Joseph because he was the only person that could uncover the truth and reveal that the doll was still alive, and it now has finally left the grounds of the house. The film closes with Jude in his room pulling out the BRAHMS mask and putting it on, saying that they will be together forever. Personally, I believe all of the moments in the movie in which Jude tried to plead with his mother and talk about how BRAHMS was controlling him have all turned out to be a ploy, and there is a lot of reasoning for this. Due to the attack from the opening of the movie, Jude realised that his parents weren't strong enough to protect him from the real dangers of the world, and thus he ended up becoming an introvert that was scared of his own shadow. Naturally, he gravitated towards BRAHMS, who would protect him from everything, and this made him stronger. In the film, there's lip service paid to the fact that BRAHMS is in some ways a security blanket for Jude, and I think this is a literal depiction of the character and what he represents for the young boy. Jude is of course in a vulnerable position, and like Joseph said, he will be safer than he's ever been because of the doll's protection. BRAHMS too reached out to Joseph because he was too isolated and alone, and clearly the doll reaches out to people in a similar position. We know that he plans to kill Lisa and Sean, and this will likely happen after the events of the film, and thus BRAHMS will be able to operate without anyone knowing what's really going on with the character. I don't know if we will get a sequel for the film, but there are certainly things that could happen with the story and the boy going forward. Before we get into the rest of the video, I just want to let you know we're giving away a free copy of the Infinity Saga to one random subscriber. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts on the film in the comments section below. The winner's going to be chosen at random on the 15th of March, and the set will be shipped out from then to whoever gets the prize, so best of luck to everyone who takes part. Okay, so as for my thoughts on the film, I'm sad to say that I was really disappointed with this. As one of the two people that actually liked the first movie, I was expecting a bit more from this, but I feel it will alienate the both of us that enjoyed that film, and people who were expecting a more haunted doll story will still be bored by how wrote the pieces. There's not a lot here that the movie excels in, and I would have loved to have seen a focus on the home invasion and how that psychologically affected Lisa and made us see things that weren't there. From here we could have had the original BRAHMS return and live in the house similar to the first film, and I think the idea that a home invasion victim was questioning whether they were going through another home invasion would have been far more interesting. Paranoia is a great driving force in horror, but it's just missing from this film when it seems like the perfect opportunity to discuss it. Unfortunately, the movie misses the mark in several ways for me, and though I'm sure many might have fun with it, personally it fell short of my expectations. Unfortunately, BRAHMS The Boy 2 gets a 4 out of 10. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on The Boy 2, and if you agree or disagree with my score. Comment below and let me know, and if you enjoyed this video then please give it a thumbs up, and make sure you check out our video from yesterday in which we break down everything you need to know about the upcoming season of Westworld. We talk about the plot, trailer and a lot more, so it's definitely worth checking out if you want something else to watch. If you want to support the channel from as little as 99 cents a month, then please click the join button below. You get access to content early and can suggest video topics and breakdowns. We massively appreciate it, and it goes a long way to helping videos like this get made. If you want to come chat to us after the show, either follow us at DefinitionYT or click the Discord link in the description below. Those are the best ways to keep up to date with heavy spoilers, so hopefully we see you over there very soon. This is a channel for people who are mad into movies, so if that's the kind of thing you like, hit subscribe. Huge thank you for taking the time to watch this. I've been Definition, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.